British fishermen are absolutely seething this week because not only have they been completely thrown under the bus in Starmer's EU reset deal, but now we've had the French, within the space of a couple of days, seize two British fishing boats. They have taken them away. The French have essentially stolen these boats. Let's have a look at what is going on. GB News have been reporting on this. GB News' Mark White has given us some details in this article here, which we'll take a look at. So French authorities have been condemned. We've had the Brits officially come out and say they shouldn't be doing this. But what they did was they detained two British fishing boats. And as I've said, this is in the same week as that surrender deal, as it is being called, with the EU, where the deal that the Tories secured to allow EU boats in our waters for 4 years is now being extended until 2038. So an extra 12 years are being given to them. Starmer's government have clearly looked at this and gone, well, fishing makes up a pretty small proportion of GDP, and the benefits we'll get from the food deal will outweigh the costs, so we'll just completely throw the fishermen under the bus, and it's worth it. That's how Starmer sees it. But as you can imagine, fishermen are absolutely furious about this. And then not only did they get the middle finger from the Prime Minister this week, but they got the middle finger from the French as well. So the French, who don't just turn a blind eye to these small boats full of migrants leaving their shores and coming to Britain, they literally ferry them to the centre line of the channel. They help them, and that is despite the fact that we are giving the French, £500 million to put their resources into stopping these boats reaching our waters. They're taking that money and they're literally helping them. But apparently they do have time to control their waters and make sure the wrong boats aren't there. If it is the Brits, migrants, no problem. But British fishermen, well, they're going to clamp down and they're going to steal your boat. The French are taking us for fools, ladies and gentlemen. Mark White says in his article, in the latest enforcement operation, the French Maritime Prefecture confirmed that a French patrol vessel had intercepted and seized a UK trawler off the Baie de Somme in the English Channel. The incident happened on Thursday, just hours after a record number of 825 small boat migrants had crossed illegally into UK waters. The hypocrisy of the French is just insane. Can't control the waters apparently when it comes to stopping illegal migrants, but British fishermen, they're right on it and they're stealing your boats. And of course we've had a spokesperson tell us what their justification is for stealing these boats, and they say the French Navy's public service patrol boat, the Pluvière, carried out a fishing check in the French exclusive economic zone off the Baie de Somme. During this operation, which is part of the state's action at sea, a British fishing vessel was checked by the sailors of the Navy patrol boat while it was fishing without a licence in French waters. As the offence was serious, the fishing vessel was diverted to the port of Boulogne-sur-Mer for the purpose of initiating proceedings under the authority of the public prosecutor. So maybe these boats, maybe they were in the wrong place, okay? Maybe they should not have been fishing in the area they were in. I'm not saying that the fishermen have done nothing wrong here, but what I am saying is that it's quite audacious of the French to do absolutely nothing, not do their job at all when it comes to patrolling dinghies full of migrants, stopping those from leaving their shores. But apparently they can be super proactive if the Brits are in their waters. That doesn't make sense, does it? Okay, I think that the French, as I said, they are taking us for fools and we let them get away with it. And, well, we don't just let them get away with it, we give them 12 more years, 12 more years to come fish in our seas. Starmer's a rubbish negotiator. Why isn't he saying, sorry, French, you're getting nothing. You're not coming in our waters with your fishing boats until you stop the migrants leaving your waters and coming into ours. But Keir Starmer, he hasn't got the spine to do that, has he? As I said, the fishermen are absolutely furious about this, and GB News got a comment from one skipper in Dover, pretty damning of the French, says this is outrageous. It's so typical of the French. They should be totally focused on trying to prevent the daily illegal incursions by migrants into the Channel. Instead, we're seeing record numbers of illegals crossing into UK waters, escorted by French patrols. As I said, they're not just turning a blind eye, they're literally helping them and escorting them, making sure they make it to UK border force safely. And the only actual enforcement work they're doing is targeting British fishermen. That pretty much sums it up. And Tory MP and Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp has also gone on the attack for this, very much on the attack in Keir Starmer's direction, as you can imagine, saying the Prime Minister has sold out our fishermen in his surrender deal. Nearly 37,000 illegal migrants have crossed since Labour took office. Hotel use for asylum seekers is up, removals are down, and asylum grants are exploding. Yeah, don't be fooled by them telling us that they have managed to get through the backlog of process, when it comes to processing asylum claims. The way they are getting through that backlog is just giving a green rubber stamp to every single application and not looking at it carefully and not being careful about who's coming in our country. That's how they've sped it up and been able to boast about getting the backlog down. What you will find as a consequence of the backlog coming down is that the percentage of asylum applications that are approved will also be up. We will not be tough on who is coming out of this country. On the same day that the Labour spin doctors have tried to boast to us this week that legal migration has been cut in half, pretending it was anything to do with Labour, when it was actually the consequence of a Tory policy that was brought in towards the end, changes to the visa rules. The Sun, of course, put that right next to the fact that the data shows that only 4% of people who arrive in Britain on a small boat are deported. Okay, so that's the situation we're in. If you get here, there's a 96% chance you will be allowed to stay. Not really much of a disincentive to cross the Channel, is it? Anyway, on with Chris Philp's statement. He says the only thing Labour's managed to deport is our sovereignty. This also shows shameful double standards. This year alone, the French have failed to stop 13,000 illegal migrants crossing the Channel, taking no action whatsoever at sea and often ushering the illegal immigrants into UK waters. Quite right, that's exactly what's happening. We've got it on film. We have the evidence. Yet when a UK fishing vessel is in French waters, all of a sudden, they are magically able to act. What a surprise. If the French can now intercept boats, then they should start stopping the boats of illegal immigrants, as international law obliges them to do. The Belgians can do it, and the French should too. We've all had enough of the French waving illegal immigrants through into UK waters. So there we go. Keir Starmer this week has really, really upset the fishermen with his EU reset. And then this really was the cherry on top to make the fishermen absolutely furious in this country. Okay, we'll see what happens. We'll see if they're able to put enough pressure on Keir Starmer to A, hold the French to account for this, to B, convince the French to up their game when it comes to stopping illegal migrants from crossing, and C, maybe backtrack a little bit on this 12 years extension. Is it too late? A lot of this new EU reset deal hasn't actually, not really been signed, and all the finer details not put into place yet. Could the fishermen put pressure on Keir Starmer to reduce that number? 12 years is insane, because they initially went into the negotiations thinking that they could ask for 4 years, but somehow they've ended up offering 12. Not sure how that happened. That's what you call shit negotiation, that's for sure. Anyway, that is the latest on the fishing drama. I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you're subscribed down below to Reasoned if you've not already, so you don't miss out on any more videos. See you next time.